everybody, to Yakking with the Yeti. I'm Eric Reisinger, a.k.a. the Yeti. Hope your week's going good. Happy holidays to everybody. Please be sure, we did put it out on Facebook. If you can see below us here on the website, we've got a couple of banners spots that we're looking to fill. If you're interested, please contact us. We're still doing our link exchange program. All kinds of stuff going on with new shows coming. Stick around. It's getting wild over here, folks. Tomorrow night on Pima TV, we will have Star Anderson will be joining us. She's an investigator and a pagan. But let's just get right to it, because y'all didn't come to hear me yet. I am joined tonight by a very, very dear friend that we've met 3 times. And this gentleman will make you think in more ways than one. But I'm joined tonight by our very good friend, Circus Envy. Circus, are you with us?
Hey, what's up, Scary Puffs? I am here.
You know what, man? It is so good to hear your voice, you know? Because I have to give you...
My cellmate tells me.
Well, you know, you're one of the few people, you know, that we've met on the convention circuit. You know, you're keeping it real all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't go with the fake horror accents and all the crazy stuff, but I do definitely try to keep it real.
Well, and you don't mind, you don't kind of don't mind telling it like it is, and I can respect and appreciate that, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well,
I think fact is often stranger than fiction anyway, at least in my life.
Yeah, there's some stuff that goes on in real life that you could, if you're thinking it up, I want to take some of what you've been taking to come up with some of that, and that's real life. What have you been up to? Last time we saw you was at Full Moon, actually this year, back in April.
Yep.
Well, I spent Halloween in Hollywood, which was a lot of fun. I got kicked off the lawn of the American Horror Story House, which was my first stop. I'm a huge fan of the show. I guess the new owner looked out and was terrified. Jessica Lange apparently pales in comparison to a chubby white-haired clown in your yard. So he was pretty upset by that. He made it clear it was not a movie set, and that he would mace me and tase me, and I kind of got excited.
Yeah, I was just fixing. I mean, I know the mace thing. You really dig the chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you're not supposed to drink it, but hey, whatever. Hey. I think it makes a great mixer.
It's got a kick to it.
It does. A great aftertaste.
Well, and if you put
That's
peppers...
why my eyes are always red after sex, too. It's all the maze.
It's a maze? I thought it was a duct tape.
Well, that, too. It could be a combination of reasons.
Yeah, I guess so. I've always considered myself to be a 2-bagger.
I don't even know how to respond, and that's very rare.
And I'm going to take pride in that fact right there.
Did you say a teabagger?
No, a 2-bagger. 2 dos, uno dos.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. I wasn't sure if you were coming out or not.
No.
Just want to leave it alone.
Hey, when people first see you, what's the general reaction that most people get?
It definitely varies. A lot of people just kind of, will shrink back and say nothing. Some people are very intrigued. Some people find beauty in the makeup. I mean, it just really depends on how sober they are.
Or how hard you hit them in the head, right?
Everyone loves a clown, sometimes consensually.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Why the clown?
A long time ago, believe it or not, I was in therapy, and it worked, as you can tell. My therapist told me that the clown is the way to the king. It's a part of Jungian psychology, and so I guess the clown archetype always intrigued me, and I always kind of pondered what that meant. And
right.
I think that it's, a metaphor for life. I think you really have to go through the follies and fuck ups and mistakes to to define yourself, and I think that it holds a lot of metaphors in it, and I just think it evokes a lot of reaction from people.
Well,
a lot of people in the world wear masks every day, so
yours just happens to be grease paint and some appendages and bunny ears.
Yeah, exactly, or whatever the season calls for.
Yeah, but that's so very true. That's a lot of people don't want to. They want to look at the. How can I say this? A lot of people enjoy going to a sideshow because they don't have to face their inner fears. They can look at their fears outside of themselves.
It's about projecting.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think the clown is. A lot of people wear a fake smile, and I just think it resides somewhere within their psyche when they see a clown. They're always afraid, of course, of what is underneath. And I think the whole horror archetypes have changed to the 80s. At first, it was Dracula and the classic monsters. It was about repression of sexuality and alcoholism and all the stuff that people struggled with in the 30s when those films were made. And then flash forward to the 70s, where everything, and 80s, where everyone was wearing masks, where there was no expression, and now we've got Blair Witch, and it's about what you're not seeing, what's just out of sight. And I think I think the psychology of the world has changed, and I think it's reflected in horror movies.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, haven't always the great horror movies, the classic scenes that have been even over commercialized now during our generation. Hasn't it always been that the really good horror scene is not the one with the most blood? It's the one, like you said, that where you have to imagine what's going to happen or what is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is still the original one is one of the most terrifying films ever, and there's not a lot of gore factor in it.
No.
But again, it's the same archetype where he's wearing a face. You don't see what's underneath. So I've heard that clowns originated in Roman Colosseums, where the victor would entertainers would come out and skin the person that was defeated, and they would wear their face as a mask. And after a while, they would just paint their faces white and wear their red smiles and the crosses, like the classic X's over their eyes, and mimic the way the person died. So there's kind of a link between Leatherface and clowns in that way, I guess.
Yeah, and then over time and political correctness has been gotten away from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally been commercialized and sanitized.
What do you think the reaction would be from if an ancient Roman showed up and went by like a McDonald's playground? Would they like leap the fence and try to get the evil clown away from the children?
Who knows? I think they would just be disturbed by like the chicken nuggets.
Oh yes, I would have to agree with that.
We've also seen the pink milkshake substance that they're actually made of. So.
Well, it also makes you never want to ever order a strawberry milkshake anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I know some people have a very, how can I put this? Some people are very down on your character. They have a very not violent reaction, but they're very vocal about how they feel. How have you learned to deal with that? How have you learned to deal with that? Throughout the years.
I think that as long as it provokes a reaction, I think that's fine. It's if you have an effective makeup and they're vocal about not liking it or being terrified of it or loving it, as long as the passion is there, you're getting something out of it. I know I'm doing something right, so that never bothers me, whether it's a negative or positive reaction, as long as there's a lot of passion behind it. I think I'm successful.
Right. Well, and that's one thing. That's one thing you definitely make people do. Because trust me, I've enjoyed walking around the conventions, and you'll be sitting at your table, and you can't help but step back, and while you're conversing, I'm sure you've seen it, but you can step even further back from there, and you can watch people's expression as they walk by your table, and out of 100 people, there might be 2 that can just walk straight by you and not look. And the other 98, there's at least a glance. Some people you can hear their necks cracking as they're walking by because it's just sitting there spinning. But that's, like you said, that makes people think, and I have to respect you for that, because not a lot of people can do that or have that effect on people as making them think.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's they put me the first time I went to Horror Hound. They put me in the room with the horror host, which traditionally horror hosts are very campy. They're there's Miss Monster that's blue with orange hair. She's very cartoonish. And then you have me there. So they're going in here thinking this is a family-friendly room, and there I am. And people are skirting like 3 feet away from my table. I sold nothing that weekend at all. It was absolutely crazy. But I think, delved a little bit into the horror host aspect of it. I grew up loving Elvira and Al Lewis. He was the local horror host we had here in Atlanta. But, the stuff I've put out is really just a precursor to a darker screenplay that I've written about the character.
Right.
Just kind of little, like, fun-size snippets of, the interactions with some of the key characters.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, here very shortly, we'll be having a couple of those pop on and off the autopilot here at PEN, so you'll be able to see Circus almost any time. The character that you play, you've really owned this, because there's other people, there's other how can I put this? There are character actors that go to conventions, but it's to the point to where you can see that they're a character. You blur that line. You my dear twisted clown friend, blur that line more than people can handle sometimes.
Well, I think Circus Envy is a part of my soul. I mean, he's actually, he's a catalyst for other spirits, and delved a lot into his origin, and he is a very metaphorical biography of myself. Going through high school and wearing goth makeup and stuff, and trying to kind of lure people away from my real insecurities, and that's what Circus Envy is. He has a series of genetic conditions called ectodermal dysplasia, and he wears a clown makeup on top of it, so no one knows where the costume ends and the anomaly begins. And that's very true in my real life. Again, just steering people away from the things that I was not confident about myself, and I think that's why I own it. That and vodka.
There you go.
And
not the good. Let's make this very clear. This is not the good stuff either.
I like girl drinks. I'm a clown. I drink like cotton candy vodka. It's what I'm supposed to do. If Hostess made a vodka, I'd so be there, and I'd so be upset that now they're on strike.
Yeah. Can you imagine, instead of a creamy filling, it came with a Twinkie came with a shot inside of it?
Oh yeah, I can imagine it. I can totally imagine that you're kind of turning me on right now.
I'm sorry. I want people.
You should never excite a man in my carriage with that type of imagery.
I do know, and I just want everybody to know that the picture that I'm showing right now is from Full Moon Tattoo and Horror this year in April in Nashville, and happened to be on Easter weekend. And before we went on, we were talking about the strangeness of having all the 3 floors of anime around. When you go to a tattoo and horror convention and you're the quote-unquote normal crowd, that's a pretty wild bunch right there. But Easter Sunday, a lot of the celebrities come in and they're a little celebrated out. Is that a nice way of putting it? We happen to be sitting in our booth, and we look over, and here comes Circus wearing some really dirty pink footy pajamas with a busted up cottontail on the back end of it and bunny ears, carrying a basket. And I had to go. I walked up to him and said, "Man, what have you got?" Because when I looked in the basket, would you tell the people what you had in the basket?
Well, I had prescription bottles full of M&Ms and candy, and then I had little like miniature liquor bottles.
So, oh my God! And just walking up and down, making friends all the way up and down Celebrity Row.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Celebrities love that.
But I mean, I was just, oh my goodness, we had such a good time, and I want to officially thank Ben and Stacy for allowing us to be there that weekend, because that was the most fun we'd had in a long, long time.
Oh yeah, Ben and Stacy are great, and their conventions. Every convention has its own personality and own spirit, and their conventions are always so much fun. I mean, it's just always feels like a homecoming. It's always good friends with Joel Robinson there, and Stacy and Ben, and it's just a lot of fun. It's more like a party than an impersonal convention.
Right.
So I really enjoy that one.
Well, and plus there's like 400 people in the back half of the convention bleeding, so you can't really beat that.
Yeah.
So I mean, because it was a tattoo convention, you got everybody back there getting all inked up and jacked up. What's your do you have any stories that you could tell us from the conventions that wouldn't get you sued? Or better yet, get us sued.
Yeah, actually, that wasn't the first time I pulled the. I'd been to Nashville before on Easter weekend, and so I got the idea to go get prescription bottles and stuff and fill them up. So this was kind of a repeat thing for me. And the first time I did it, I got everything ready, and I was getting into the elevator, and I had blood all over my hands in this particular incarnation of my Easter outfit. I call myself the Easter pusher. And so I like the elevator's closing, and I reached to open it, and this on the other side they see this bloody hand coming through, and I open the elevator, and there's a father with two children on there that start screaming loudly. So that was a very interesting reaction. That's why I had to do the money thing again. I mean, how could you not after getting that reaction? The dad was just kind of laughing. I felt very awkward. I don't typically make it a habit to traumatize children purposely. I don't go out of my way to. But.
Well, if you could hand out your therapist cards, you could make a little money.
What's that?
If you could hand out a particular therapist card when it happened, just like keep them yeah. Hey, here you go. He'll help you later.
Exactly. Either that or they'll expect me to pay for it. You've seen the stuff I wear. I can't afford that. I'm not on a Ronald McDonald budget. My stuff has holes in it and all kind of shit. It's dirty.
Yeah, but I thought that was
character though.
I thought that's just all part of the act. I thought you were like, related to the back doorway some kind of way.
Related to who?
I don't know. Ronald, maybe Jack. I don't know.
I don't know. There could be a distant relation. Scarier things have happened.
Yes, they have. When your character, when did you know that this was where you wanted to focus? There had to have been a certain moment.
An aha moment.
Yeah, an aha moment, or if I had a bicycle horn, I'd honk it just to make a stupid clown joke. But was there a particular moment that you can remember?
Well, yeah, probably in 2006, and I was in my apartment, and I just was really thinking, what is my legacy going to be? And I, really wanted to continue developing the clown character, and Circus Envy is just, again, carries so many metaphors that are clues to my real life, and every character in the script surrounding him is a part of me as well. And I just knew this is where my legacy is. He's actually, contrary to his appearance, he's actually a good guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the crow with love handles, is how I describe him. He's more of a he's more of a vigilante than a horror villain. But I never want people to think that on first appearance.
Yeah. Well, isn't that truly a problem in our society? How people judge everything off of appearance?
Yeah, I mean it is. In his particular story, he grows up. His first 6 years of life very isolated, and he has these genetic conditions that cause very pale skin and white hair. And he notices he's different from other people, and he asks his foster mother, why am I like this? And she says, you're an angel. And he becomes very sick at age 7. She takes him to a doctor, and he discovers that everything he thinks is angelic about himself is actually a disease. So that's, he wants to tarnish that white image, and he's resentful, of being led down that path and being made to believe he was something he's not. So he's a very bitter and resentful character at the first of the story, but as it develops, it's a lot about him refinding his light, I guess.
Right. Well, I mean, I grew up the fat kid, and you either learn how to fight or you learn how to have a smart mouth, or you learned a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn to be the clown, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you learn to try to not even diffuse. You just learn to try to, you want people to laugh, because if you got them laughing, they're paying attention to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're paying attention to you, then they're not thinking about punching you.
Well, that's a classic magician trick. It's always about the sleight of hand.
That's right.
So, and those tricks are part of our psychology.
Speaking of psychology,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever thought of doing counseling?
Actually, I have. I don't know how well received, the two careers. You're being counseled by who? I definitely have thought about that. I speak in metaphors and archetypes, and I see the hidden stories and the psychology behind every movie that I see. So, yeah, I definitely have thought about becoming a counselor, possibly.
Well, yeah, and there is a very serious reason I ask, because the one thing I have noticed about you is, as fast as people are to judge you, you're not so quick to judge them, but you are a study. You have made a study of the human condition to a certain degree, because as much as you are teaching people, how can I put this? You learn as much from the interaction with people as people learn about themselves. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because I've noticed once you reward people that are willing to stick past the appearance. I've noticed that. If somebody's willing to stop and talk to you, and more than, oh my goodness, I just wanted to stop and talk to the creepy guy, once they sit and talk to you and they actually start learning, they're like, wow. So you reward people that are willing to go past that, and bravo to you, sir, because that, like, once again, it takes a lot to motivate. These days and times, it takes a lot to motivate people to think. There's a lot of sheep out there, man.
Yeah, that's very true.
And not
I do like...
And not in a good New Zealand kind of way, either.
Yeah, I definitely like to challenge people's perception, and I like the integration of opposites of Circus Envy and bodies. I am a nice guy. I'm approachable, and I'm friendly, and I'm goofy, I'm insecure, and I'm neurotic. But, I'll put off this intimidating vibe. But, they put gargoyles on top of churches to ward away evil spirits. It's not always, perception is not always reality.
That's true.
So, I mean...
Do you have any classical, just because I'm sure people are going to start asking us in the chat room here very shortly, do you have any classical influences? Any classical influences,
like in...
like Shakespearean type influences? Shakespearean? Is that a word?
I really don't. Of course, I love Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to have very predictable answers, so I'm a little embarrassed. that what I've learned about Jungian psychology through my therapist has interested me. So, I mean, I guess I have eclectic influences, but not so much like classic literature.
Right.
Siddhartha by Herman Hesse was a huge influence on me, not so much as the clown. It was just like, it's like my Bible. It's, learning to kind of go with the flow. I grew up in a very small Southern Baptist family, so learning a little bit more about that culture and the belief to accept without expectation, was definitely a turning point in my life.
Right. Well, I mean, that's one thing a lot of people may or may not know. There's a lot of similarities. We were both raised not so much strict, but a Baptist upbringing. Which, if you've never been to a Baptist church on a Sunday morning when the preacher's is hung over, or is anybody else sitting in the church, that's an interesting experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I went to a small Baptist school, and I drove a hearse. So I was like voted most likely to be Satan in the senior superlative. Everyone was afraid of me. But again, it was sleight of hand. It was just trying to cover up, my own insecurities. And I think the Baptists set such like a unrealistic expectation of people. And 12 years old, I thought I was the Antichrist because I had sexual fantasies, and it was so twisted and so shaming and so guilty. It's crazy.
But in reality, 15 years later and several $1,000s worth of therapy later, you figure out that you weren't the Antichrist. You were just a 12-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
A typical 12-year-old at that.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's why I like to challenge people's perception and I want to look like the most evil bastard on the planet and be good. And in the beginning of my movie, or my screenplay that I hope to become a movie, my character's not likable at all. I mean, he's sexist. He works in a strip club where he mocks the women, and their tagline is "Granny's, Granny's, and Big Fat Fannies." And he makes fun of them because it's like a modern exploitation
right
format for him. And again, the whole script, it really revolves around his redemption and having like a different purpose in life that he just can't really accept or grasp or believe exists.
Does would you say it would be like a trailer ploitation film?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Trailer park trash and transvestites. So that's another tagline I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're free to use that too. I'm not going to copyright that on you or nothing. If you want to use trailer ploitation, that hey, go for it. I used to tell people all the time.
Yeah, you always found.
I'm 6'3". I was at one point in time before my heart attack. I smoked too much, I drank too much, and I lived a trailer in Texas. Not many more cliches of the Southern white guy could I fit into. There weren't a whole lot more.
But it's so odd that you find, you really find the most eclectic and interesting people in a trailer park, and you don't think that. You think everybody fits into a single niche, but they don't. I mean, when people are faced to face financial hardship or they struggle, it really develops character. And you do find some of the stereotypes, but you also find people that are very open and accepting and non-judgmental. And so it's kind of a culture that intrigues me a little bit.
It's kind of like the movie, kind of like Clive Barker's Nightbreed sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's, you fit in by not belonging. I mean, it's everyone's mismatched. It's like the Munsters. You got a werewolf, a vampire. You've got all these people, or eligible sidekicks. Everybody's kind of mismatched, but that's exactly the reason they belong, is because they're unique.
Right. And what's sad is it's that uniqueness that everybody should be proud of. But,
yeah, you should absolutely revel in your flaws. That's one of my biggest messages.
Yeah, but people,
our personal philosophies.
But people don't get it. You know,
No, everybody wants to be unique. They want to be the star basketball player, though. They don't want to be unique in the fact that they have ectothermal dysplasia like Michael Berryman or, and I really admire people that learn to just celebrate what's not conventional uniqueness.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally concur. You mentioned that you have a screenplay. And I can only assume that you're farming that around right now.
I am trying.
And if they go to your YouTube channel, what kind of guidance and enlightenment can they expect to find on your YouTube channel, Circus?
I don't think they're going to find much that's very profound. I mean, it is basically a throwback to like all the old school Harvest stuff. Although I guess Ben of Netherworld said it was a little more spicy than I should be with Harvest. It would never make it on public TV. They have a lot more sexual innuendos. But they'll just find like the first screenplay that I wrote is called Painted Faces, and again, it's about the masks that people wear in different ways. And they'll see some of the same characters. I have a mother/father-in-law that's a transvestite named Phaedra, played by a legendary drag queen here in Atlanta named Lily White. And they'll see kind of the family unit. So they'll just get a very brief snippet of what the screenplay is about.
Right. I know.
And none of the darkness, all the humor and one-liners.
That's what I was definitely going to tell people. If you go there and you are even partially open-minded, you will laugh your ass off. There's just no two ways about it. When it comes to the conventions, what's the one thing that you... Well, let me ask a two-sided question. What's the one thing that you really like and the one thing that you really, really don't like about them?
It's a face in the public would be my answer for both. I do have a social anxiety, and it can be nerve-wracking. I'm a very, I deal with my own insecurities. Do I deserve to be here? But then again, it's always very validating. I'm always very well received. And then you go back to your normal life. People treat you well at certain conventions and really look forward to seeing you. And but at the same time, it's always stressful for me to go and face the public and talk to them and kind of sell myself and let them know what the character's about.
Right.
Because there's always a question, what have you done? And there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on, and but I'm always second guessing myself. I think if I had, if Painted Faces was out there right now playing, I would still question, the validity of my work. I think that's, I think a lot of artists and creative people suffer that. But I think that's also the thing that makes you push yourself.
Well, yeah, and then you have to have that passionate fire. You have to have that kind of that burning in your gut. If you don't have that, you why do it?
Yeah, absolutely. It really has to come from your soul, and I think that's why my character is scary, because I really think it's come from the recesses of my own experiences, and I think it kind of just tells a story about me, and it's in terms of metaphor, and I think people somehow see truth in that. I don't know. Yeah. I like to think that anyway.
Yeah. No, I would concur. I think the whole fact that you make people look at inside, like I said, you inspire people to think. That's a superpower in these days and times. If we could get you
I appreciate that.
Not that you don't have it, but
great compliment.
If we could get you a sidekick named Common Sense, oh my God. I am showing a graphic right now that's got a couple of people on it, and I have to ask you about it. One, because I just love the freaking movie to death. But I do have a graphic up, and on one side it's you and Sid Haig with this makeup that you actually put on for him.
Uh-huh.
And then on the other side is a picture with you with Sid without any makeup and Bill Moseley. I have to ask you, how great are those two guys to hang out with?
Well, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Bill, but I've spent more time with Sid, and he's great. I love him. It's cool hearing all. I mean, he's been in the business forever. A lot of people a lot of the younger generations just know him from Rob Zombie's films, but Galaxy of Terror and all the guest appearances he made in the '80s, and all the blaxploitation films he was in. I mean, it's just so cool to sit back and hear his stories, and you know, he's really a legend, a very underrated legend. So it's been very cool becoming friends with him. It started, I went to Dragon Con. I would normally never go as another character other than Circus Envy to a horror convention, but I went as Captain Spaulding to Dragon Con since it's more multimedia, and I felt it needed more horror presence. So I grew my beard out for like 3 months and everything, and had a costume made, the Murder Right costume, and I showed him a picture because we had become acquainted through conventions and everything, and he was blown away. I know there's a lot of people out there that dress like him. So when I saw he was doing an in-costume appearance at Horror Hound, I emailed him and I was like, hey, do you need any help with makeup and costume? I was on the phone with him the next day. So
awesome.
He's like, yeah, I absolutely do. So I had the chattering skull and all that stuff, so I ended up putting makeup on him, which was a great honor. And then I guess the other promoters at other conventions wanted another costume, so I drafted my poor mother to recreating his other costume for him too, and put his makeup on for him the second time in Chicago at Flashback Weekend. But it was just cool being able to, it's surreal with the pictures of me in costume putting on his clown makeup too. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's almost not a once in a lifetime experience, but pretty much a once in a lifetime experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, how many people have ever put the makeup on that actor, and how there will probably never be another sequel with Captain Spaulding. So that's it's definitely a great honor. It's gotten a lot of attention. I have a video that I need to edit together of me putting on his makeup the first time.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I've got to get it edited together. The sound is not great on it, so I'll have to put it to music or something. But I need to get that piece together and put up, because I know people would love to see it.
Yeah, because I mean,
I was nervous. I definitely was.
Well, yeah, I mean that's of our generation. Of course, other than Gacy, but even for our generation, that's a little bit jaded now. Other than Gacy, he's got to be the most famous evil clown out there. Well, other than yourself, obviously. But you're not necessarily evil. You're more naughty.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
My character is very inspired by a Haitian deity called Baron Samedi. There was a character of the same name in James Bond movies, but he's very sexually driven. When you leave him offerings, you leave him sweets and brandy and strong liquor. He is like the gatekeeper between the underworld, and he is also a protector of children. So I thought that was really interesting. The clowns always being child predators, I thought that him also being one of the trickster archetypes is the exact opposite. He protects children, believing they deserve, every child deserves a life.
Right, and
so that's
isn't that strange how our Western European culture has done all this? There's so many. There's clowns is one thing, obviously, but there's several other things that we've kind of twisted around from their origins.
But we don't trust shit. Kids are eerie. Clowns are eerie. Everything that looks too good to be true, it's not. It does not exist. It's the paranoia we have in our society today. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it's almost it's.
There I go with the psychology again.
See, you should be. I'm telling you, man. You should think about doing that.
Dude, I'm so charging you for a session. Do you have a copay?
Well, here at the network, we have bottomless pockets, and by that I mean they got holes.
Awesome.
In them. By that I mean they got holes in them. Have you ever? I know you said you'd written the screenplay. Have you ever thought of becoming an author and just being a writer?
I do like to write. Like everybody now, all of our attention spans have been reduced so much because we're so multitask.
Right.
I just, I don't want to be single focused on Circus Envy, but I'm trying to go back and write my screenplay into a novel for the development of each character. This is, again, a psychological journey for me. Every single character represents something within myself. So going deeper into it has been, and writing backstories for each person has been something I'm looking into doing. I just need time. I have a full-time job that demands, a lot of my attention, and then traveling for conventions and trying to prepare stuff. It's just, there's not a whole lot of downtime.
Yeah, you
dead air.
Yeah, I trust me, over here, even with us just running the network like we're doing now, because much like the rest of the paranormal, I'm searching.
Yeah,
there's
tough, isn't it?
Oh, I'm telling you. And then, but like I said, you run out of hours in the day. You start off with this list that you think is going to be manageable, and about 3 hours into the day, it's like crap. And then it's, well, I can push this to tomorrow, and I can push that to tomorrow, and then by the time you get to the weekend, you've eaten up the 2 days that you might have had free to do anything on the weekend, and by the time then it just a vicious circle. It just keeps going and going.
It is. It is. My job for 5 years, my day job, I was on call for 24/7 basically. So we would be shooting scenes and stuff, and I'd be getting calls from work and makeup. It was just a very odd. I thought of pitching a reality show just for the simple fact I'm on call trying to film stuff and being called in. I work for a staffing agency, and I place people in a crouton factory. So you would think with the amount of emphasis put on, we have to have people right now, you'd think we were delivering children.
Right. In croutons. Croutons,
yeah,
like the bread cube.
Yes, absolutely. Those type of croutons.
Wow.
So,
I'd have never pictured you for a salad guy.
Well, toss a salad a couple of times in prison. It's not gay if you're doing it for cigarettes, right?
Right. You're now. Did you ever accidentally forget and leave the whole get up on and go to the other 9 to 5 or?
The funny thing is they totally know about Circus Envy, and they want me to come and in costume on Halloween. They love it. I've actually drafted people that I work with. The religious character, Luby Jean, is actually someone I work with in the distribution department, and she's hilarious. She's out of control. So, it's weird. You meet interesting people in the most unlikely places.
Yeah. Well, that's if you're open to meeting them. A lot of people think, well, there's no way nothing's going to happen to me here because I'm in my box. I don't see you. You don't see me too much. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one thing about me, I'm honest to a fault. I'm an open book. I can't really, I think with growing up Baptist and everything and trying to suppress so much of my life for such a long time, I just can't hold it in. The secrets are painful to me. So, you're going to know about me if you're going to know what I'm about if you spend any amount of time with me.
Yeah, and sometimes be careful what you ask because you might you might get an answer you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are very thin-skinned that way. They'll ask you a question and they just assume that you're gonna fluff their psychological pillow when in reality you're honest with them and you tear them down and they're like, I don't like you anymore. Well, why did you ask?
You can't please everybody. That's what I've learned.
Oh God, yeah. That's something we could probably spend an hour talking about how people.
I have a question.
Okay, we have a question from the Peanut Gallery. Yes.
Is he aware he was our favorite bathroom celebrity?
Oh, that is that. I had forgotten about that. Do you remember where our booth was located at Full Moon?
No, I don't. I'm so sorry.
Well, okay. You remember where when you walked in and you could either go right, left, or straight, basically, and to the left was the celebrity row. To the far right on the other wall, there was the guy with the Japanese guy that had all the great big posters and some masks and stuff. we were right there on the end of that aisle, right next to the two real skinny girls that were selling the coffin boxes. Remember them too?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Now you know exactly where I was at. Well, we were also
right there.
Right there. Yeah, we were facing the bathroom.
Oh gosh.
So unfortunately, our still photographer, she made quite the career that weekend of catching celebrities. She's also in our chat room right now. She made quite the career of catching celebrities coming out of the bathroom, and every time you'd come out, you like give her the kind of wink, the Buddy Christ kind of wink thing when you'd come out. It was funny. You were voted most favored bathroom celebrity.
Most photogenic.
That's hilarious.
And just a real cute note, because I know you'll find this really funny. They had the zombie girl pinup contest.
Uh-huh.
We also became very good friends with the female bathroom attendant, because there was nobody taking care of the men's bathroom, but there was a woman that actually sat outside the women's bathroom and went in there about every once an hour.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. But after the zombie pinup contest, she come out. She was just livid, bitching. She says, "Do you know how hard it is to mop up 3 gallons of fake blood when it's all over the floor with glitter and latex and And I'm like,
wow.
I kind of had to sit back and go, I am never ever going to have this conversation again at any point in time in my life.
Actually, I do know how hard that is.
Exactly.
I remember leaving when I did the brain effect. I remember leaving a hotel room, and I would do the blood drips and stuff with a syringe.
Right.
And I misaimed the syringe, and there was blood on the ceiling when we left. So I know they had no idea what went on in that room.
But there's probably some little cleaning lady that walked in and go, "I don't want to know. I don't want to know."
Exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
goodness. But yeah, I mean, we had such a good time at Full Moon. Like I said, I can kind of sort of see your point and agree with you about the greatest part is getting to meet the public, because we were the only paranormally based thing there at the convention, and I can guarantee you I spent 3/4 of Saturday, which, as you know, is 16 hours long. If you're there if you're there at opening and you're there when it closes, that's about a 16-hour day. I spent 3/4 of the day talking to people about, of course, selling a network, that's kind of a given, but also talking to them about, things they'd had going on, and telling them, maybe you shouldn't be scared. And I got to pass along our good kind of message, so they didn't think we were going to show up and say, "Oh, look at my IR footage." They kind of respected the fact that we were there, we would listen and give advice, and it was just cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is cool.
But there was there was also 14,000 people that came through them damn doors that day, because that crowd was nuts Saturday.
Oh yeah, it was. I know that attending conventions with the paranormal element has really changed my perspective. I met a psychic friend of mine named Shelley Lightwolf I think in 2009. I never, the whole psychic thing, I never really bought into at all. I took it as a novelty, and I met Shelley, and she really it's been like a life-changing event for me. And the house that I'm living in now is actually a little creepy, and I've had her come over and take a look at it, and it's I could tell you some pretty creepy stories about this house too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's all about being open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
And if you hadn't been exposed to the people that you've been around and heard some of the stories you'd heard there, you'd have never thought, you'd have just thought you had something structurally wrong with it, probably.
Yeah, well, when she came in this house, and she immediately started, pointing out stuff that had happened and telling us history of the house, and she had no idea. She'd have no way of knowing. It's mind-boggling. It's just too much to be coincidental.
Right.
And there's definitely more than meets the eye, and it definitely made a believer in me for sure.
Yeah. Have you Have you got any plans coming up early part of next year?
I do. I'm hosting Days of the Dead. I'm the official MC here in Atlanta. There's a promoter, Bill Philpott, that I've ran into many times at Nashville and in different locations. And I've begged every promoter I could possibly find to come to Atlanta because we really have a huge horror niche here. We have Netherworld, of course, everybody knows that haunted house. We have actually a lot of great haunts here. We have little 5 Points that caters largely to the horror community. And so I finally talked them into it, and they came last year. It was a great success, so they signed on for the next 2 years, and I'm the official MC there. And there's a House of a Thousand Corpses reunion, so Sid and Bill will be back along with Walt Phelan and Robert Mukes and Erwin Keys. And so I'm really excited about Blair Witch reunion. I'm excited about that too. I've never met any of those guys before.
Right. That's awesome.
So
and is that, you have any nailed down dates on that yet?
yeah, it's the first. It's like February 1st through the 3rd, I believe. I do know it's the first weekend in February. I'm assuming February 1st is a Friday, and I think those are the dates.
Right.
Yeah. So it's at the Sheraton in Atlanta. You can check it out on daysofthedead.net.
Awesome. I'm
actually building a really cool set, and I don't know if you've seen any of the videos from last year's Days of the Dead, but I have booth babes. I had go-go dancers and stuff, so every time we would turn on music, guys would flock to my booth because I had a Sherry Moon Zombie look-alike and another really beautiful girl with black hair and horns, and it was great. So I've got even more stuff in store this year.
Yeah. Well, well, that's the guys were just coming to learn more about your character, right?
What's that?
Yeah, whatever. They were there for the chicks. Stop it.
I was just saying, all the guys, they were just coming to ask you questions about your character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They were only interested in me. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an educational value. That's what it is.
And I'll have Lily with me, too. So, I have the drag queen with me. It'll be a little something for everybody.
Oh, my wife wants me to ask you, how well are you doing since the house fire?
Lily.
Since Lily. How well is Lily doing?
Lily had a lot of tragedies last year. She had the house fire. Then during the weekend of Days of the Dead last year, she had a heart attack, and then she lost her mother. So she is recuperating very well. She's rebuilding a couple of decades worth of costumes, and she has moved into town. She was living very remotely, taking care of her elderly mother, and just refocusing on her. So she's doing very well, and just on the mend. And I know it's been a daunting task trying to get back everything she's lost and everything, but she had a lot of support from the community, and everybody loves Lily White. Like
oh yeah.
The guy Jesse from Nightmare on Elm Street, I can't remember the actor's name, immediately knew who she was. She's been out there for a while, so she's very well known. She actually, if you've seen the Squidbillies, when she performed at Backstreet, she told me the story. The writers used to come in and they loved Lily White. So supposedly Aunt Lil on the Squidbillies is homage to Lily. She calls herself everyone's aunt. Everyone, I guess, has drag mothers or whatever in the drag community. And she said she wouldn't be their aunt. She wouldn't be their mother, but she'd be their aunt.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, so she called herself Aunt Lil, and so does the character on the Squidbillies. And so there you go. She's had some cultural impact already.
What about and I know, like I said, you've got the MCing coming up. Have you ever thought of combining like a musical act with any of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love. I'm actually looking for an acoustic guitarist. I love stuff like not in my everyday life, but I love singing covers of like Charlie Daniels songs and just stuff that's unexpected. Like I'll sing Long Haired Country Boy. That's kind of my staple.
Nice.
I like acoustic, kind of hokey country stuff. So yeah, I would love to incorporate. I do sing. I don't play any musical instruments at all. But yeah, I would love to incorporate that into it. My goal is to cover Wasted Rock Ranger by Great White by Days of the Dead. So I'm looking for my acoustic guitarist that will make that happen for me.
Nice. And I don't know why, but I can't. I see you singing "Achy Breaky Heart," but I don't know why.
I don't know that song very well, but hey, it could happen.
Yeah. Wow. When it comes to living in and near Atlanta, one thing a lot of people may or may not know is Atlanta has almost become the Hollywood of the East Coast to a certain degree. There's a huge film industry presence in Atlanta, and not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, The Walking Dead's filmed here. I was an extra in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which was filmed in the outskirts of Atlanta. Zombieland, a lot of that was filmed here. A lot of stuff is, there's a lot of stuff ongoing right now. So you're absolutely right. I know a lot of films being done here, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see some of that action coming our way. But my only involvement so far has been, with Halloween 2.
Right.
Which is cool, spending a couple of days on set with Rob Zombie out in the middle of nowhere. We're actually in a fertilizer factory that he turned into the club scene, so it was really funny. It was in Newborn, Georgia, so it said Newborn Fertilizer Factory. I was like, wow, is this real or not?
Well, either that or they made baby oil.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. It seemed like a Rob Zombie, joke or something that you have in his film.
Right. Yeah, because his sense of humor is very dry.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I guess that's the part about House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects that endeared it to me so much, is all the jokes are so tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Some of it you just kind of want to go, ugh, because it's that bad a pun, but and then the very next scene somebody's getting mutilated, but it's not scary. It's horrifying, but it's not scary.
He has a great way of endearing the villain, and I don't think that's worked so well with the Halloween films, but definitely with with the Firefly family. I love that dysfunctional family where everybody else is an outsider. I mean, that's the same appeal I have, with the Munsters and the classic sideshows.
Yeah.
It's the same type of dynamic, so I love seeing that in films.
Yeah, it's family is not necessarily DNA related. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Further
definitely
south,
not. You can feel very distant from people that you are related to. I know that from experience.
Yeah. And people that you should absolutely despise, you learn to have a great affection for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how life works that way sometimes,
Yeah, I know. It's never sometimes you're not attracted to the puppy that licks your heels. It's a person that puts you down, and I have a tendency to gravitate toward those relationships too.
Yeah. Have you?
It's the one that challenges you and makes you work for their affection that you love.
Have you ever worked at any of the big haunted attractions down there, as Circus?
Yeah, I usually go and make it out to Netherworld a couple of nights. I'm usually, I do a lot of conventions around October.
Right.
So I try to get to every single. I'm like a haunt whore. I'll go to every single haunt and try to make it out. Just have a passion for it. So I'll spend a night here. I have a friend that has owned a haunted house for a couple of years out here. Psycho 13. I try to make it out to his haunt, and good friends with the owner. I know everybody that owns the haunted house,
right.
So it's always cool. I always feel at home there. Again, it's that whole family element where everybody else is an outsider. That you get that same feel at haunted houses.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. I know. It was really funny to watch the, Because I believe the first time we met you was at Scarefest in 2010.
Uh-huh.
I believe so. And they had those kids that were there from the scare park there. Scream Park, that's what it was called. Where they had the kids that were running around, and they would slide on their knees, and they had those little clacky gloves on and stuff. But but they never left their group. They traveled in packs. Yeah. You know, when they went out they went out in groups. They didn't go out singularly to talk to the crowd. They went out as a group to talk to the crowd. So I mean, you could really see that vibe, you know, that family. Hey, we're going to stick together. This is us. Blah blah blah.
You should see our artificial haunt here, Netherworld. We, you know, when they're kind of filling out Atlanta, I was like, well, you guys need to talk to Netherworld. They're nationally known. And it was kind of a slow response. I guess they were working on their house for the season.
Right.
And so they said, okay, so what's your second pick? And I said, well, I really like they wanted Days of the Dead to be very kind of gory and grungy, and I said, okay, well, the perfect haunt for that is the Chamber of Horrors. And my friend Luke Godfrey is one of the owners of that, and so they go around Days of the Dead with people in dirty underwear and rape cages. They really go all out. So I mean, they definitely create a spectacle. Their whole forte is just being shocking and as shocking as possible. So
with all the new and I know we're getting here towards the end a little bit, but I have to ask you this: do you think that the public is becoming jaded with some of the horror that's out there, almost bored, almost?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, I know for me as a horror fan, it's you know, every idea has kind of been done to death, and I think Hollywood is always looking to cash in on a sure bet, a safe bet. So they go with remakes or what have you. They know, you know, people are always wanting to go see horror films, but I find it difficult to find something new and original, and I don't think that a good horror film is necessarily made of, you know, is necessarily the goriest. I mean, I think I like the Paranormal Activity film. I know that gets a lot of mixed reviews. I thought it was horrifying. I haven't seen it. I've kind of skipped around. Saw part 1 and part 3. I thought they were both pretty scary. I know they're really doing the handheld camera thing to death, but yeah, it is really hard to find an original idea and to execute it and not feel like it's copying something. I love the first season of American Horror Story too, but again, you see so many influences in there. But how can you not love Evan Peters and Jessica Lange?
Right. Well, you know, it's kind of like because we were both born similar times. I think I'm 4 or 5 years older than you are. There was a time when there wasn't alternative and grunge and punk and, you know, 4 other genres of and heavy metal and alternative metal, and at one point in time there was rock and roll, and there was country, and there was western, and there was classical and the blues, and that was it. And it just seems like today, from what I've been able to see, just looking from the outside in, at like from an internet point of view, it's almost like even some of the horror groups on Facebook are very, I don't want to say, some of them are cliquish. Some of the horror groups are more 80s based, kind of classic. Some are the whole gore end of it, you know, the whole there's a whole genre of that from the Far East that's insane. You know, it's how much blood can we pump through this fake corpse? Tune in at 6 to find out. And then, you know, then there's others that are, like you said, to them the only true horror is the handheld horror. You know, it's just strange how cliquish it's become. And maybe it's always been that way, and I just never stepped back to notice it that way. But, or maybe it's Facebook. We'll just blame Facebook. But I don't know.
I actually say the same thing. Everything is so subcategorized now, and it's and I'm not really big into hanging out. Like, I mean, even in terms of people, I'm not into hanging out with anybody that relates to a cliche or a stereotype. I'm into individuals, and that's how that's how I feel about movies too. I don't think you should write a movie to be a specific genre, or it's just.
Right.
I think it just has to come from the soul, and I think that I think people see that.
Yeah, people are going to kind of make their own decision and classify it however they want to anyway. So just do what makes you feel good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, I know it's hard to maintain your integrity when you go through writers and producers and funders, and there's so many hands in the pot. But I think it shines through when you get an original idea. Like Blair Witch to me just absolutely blew me away. I mean, I came home and I was disturbed, and that's something I don't always. That's not something that usually happens to me. I'm pretty jaded when it comes to horror movies. There's no gore in it at all. It's something I can imagine myself doing, and I think what made it horrifying for me.
Right. Well, Circus, as much as I hate to do this, brother, we're kind of here at the end.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. And now that I got your number, I promise you only once on the weekends will I drunk dial you.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I'll look forward to it.
But no, seriously, because other than the conventions, I had never even thought to look around on Facebook, because we had never actually talked about how to stay in touch. But now that we've done this, about once every 3 months, I want to have an update from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Please call me anytime.
And just to all our viewers out of there, real quick, while I get out of here, don't forget, here very, very soon, you're going to be able to see some of the short subjects on YouTube. They're going to be here on PEN, so stay tuned. Everybody have a safe weekend. Circus, once again, thank you for joining me, sir. And when people first see you, what's the general reaction that most people get?
It definitely varies. A lot of people just kind of, will shrink back and say nothing. Some people are very intrigued. Some people find beauty in the makeup. I mean, it just really depends on how sober they are.
Or how hard you hit them in the head, right?
Everyone loves a clown, sometimes consensually.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Why the clown?
A long time ago, believe it or not, I was in therapy, and it worked, as you can tell. My therapist told me that the clown is the way to the king. It's a part of Jungian psychology, and so I guess the clown archetype always intrigued me, and I always kind of pondered what that meant. And
right.
I think it's the metaphor for life. I think you really have to go through the follies and fuck ups and mistakes to define yourself, and I think that it holds a lot of metaphors in it, and I just think it evokes a lot of reaction from people.
Well,
a lot of people in the world wear masks every day, so
yours just happens to be grease paint and some appendages and bunny ears.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever the season calls for.
Yeah, but that's so very true. That's a lot of people don't want to. They want to look at the. How can I say this? A lot of people enjoy going to a sideshow because they don't have to face their inner fears. They can look at their fears outside of themselves.
It's about projecting.
Yeah, totally agree.
But, I think the clown is, a lot of people wear a fake smile, and I just think it resides somewhere within their psyche when they see a clown. They're always afraid, of course, of what is underneath. And I think the whole horror archetypes have changed to the ages. At first it was Dracula and the classic monsters. It was about repression of sexuality and alcoholism and all this stuff that people struggled with in the 30s when those films were made, and then flash forward to the 70s where everything, and 80s where everyone was wearing masks, where there was no expression, and now we've got Blair Witch, and it's about what you're not seeing, what's just out of sight. And I think the psychology of the world has changed, and I think it's reflected in horror movies. Fan of the show. I guess the new owner looked out and was terrified. Jessica Lange apparently pales in comparison to a chubby white-haired clown in your yard. So he was pretty upset by that. He made it clear it was not a movie set, and that he would mace me and tase me, and I kind of got excited.
Yeah, I was just fixing. I mean, I know the mace thing. You really dig the chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you're not supposed to drink it, but hey, whatever. I think it makes a great mixer.
It's got a kick to it.
It does. A great aftertaste.
Well, and if you put peppers...
That's why my eyes are always red after sex, too. It's all the maze.
It's a maze? I thought it was a duct tape.
Well, that, too. It could be a combination of reasons.
Yeah, I guess so. I've always considered myself to be a two-bagger.
I don't even know how to respond, and that's very rare.
and I'm going to take pride in that fact right there.
Did you say a teabagger?
No, a two-bagger. Uno dos.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. I wasn't sure if you were coming out or not.
No.
Just going to leave it alone.
Hey, when people... And this gentleman will make you think in more ways than one. But I'm joined tonight by our very good friend, Circus Envy. Circus, are you with us?
Hey, what's up, Scary Puffs? I am here.
You know what, man? It is so good to hear your voice, Because I have to give you...
My cellmate tells me.
Well, you're one of the few people, that we've met on the convention circuit. You're keeping it real all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't go with the fake horror accents and all the crazy stuff, but I do definitely try to keep it real.
Well, and you don't mind, you don't kind of don't mind telling it like it is, and I can respect and appreciate that, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well,
I think fact is often stranger than fiction anyway, at least in my life.
Yeah, there's some stuff that goes on in real life that you could, if you're thinking it up, I want to take some of what you've been taking to come up with some of that, and that's real life. What have you been up to? Last time we saw you was at Full Moon, actually this year, back in April.
Yep.
Well, I spent Halloween in Hollywood, which was a lot of fun. I got kicked off the lawn of the American Horror Story House, which was my first stop in the huge.
Welcome, everybody, to Yakking with the Yeti. I'm Eric Reisinger, a.k.a. the Yeti. Hope your week's going good. Happy holidays to everybody. Please be sure, we did put it out on Facebook. If you can see below us here on the website, we've got a couple of banners, spots that we're looking to fill. If you're interested, please contact us. We're still doing our link exchange program. All kinds of stuff going on with new shows coming. Stick around. It's getting wild over here, folks. Tomorrow night on Pima TV, we will have Star Anderson will be joining us.
Investigator.
She's an investigator and a pagan. But let's just get right to it, because y'all didn't come to hear me yet. I am joined tonight by a very, very dear friend that we've met 3 times.